Balls Deep.
Welcome to Balls Deep, a humorous yet informative medical show with a mission of optimizing your performance in the bedroom, the bathroom, and the boardroom. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Pazona, a board-certified urologist and CEO of Pazona MD. We hope you enjoy. Now, let's jump right in. And here we are again today on another episode of Balls Deep. I'm Dr. Joe Pazona, and I am joined by my very lovely co-host, Miss Kat Williams. Kat,
frankly, I'm really excited to be here. I thought I was going to be fired after my backdoor no baby comment last time.
Oh, no, I think that got us several likes, maybe a couple dislikes, but that's
definitely
okay.
Got an explicit rating on that podcast. But I want to watch or listen to explicit podcasts, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's more fun. It's dangerous.
Listen, we have to have fun here on Balls Deep. I mean, medical stuff can be a little dry, so let's.
This is not dry.
No, that is not. So,
all right, let's get into it. What are we talking about today?
All right. So today we're going to talk about wellness and what I call the 4 pillars of wellness. And you might be wondering, why is this important? Well, men and ladies, if you want your junk to be healthy, then I would keep listening.
I want my junk to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, let's get our little let's get our Cliff Notes version of what's happening today in a segment we like to call
Just the Tip. Number 1. Almost every urologic condition is brought on or worsened by obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. Number 2. The 4 pillars of healthcare are 8 hours of sleep, daily exercise, healthy food choices, and stress reduction. And number 3, weight loss is simple but difficult. You need a partner. A partner can help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should now do a little bit of a deeper dive. And so why don't we go
Balls Deep.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Pazona. So let's start at the top here. You are saying, is this possibly true? Almost every urologic condition is created, made worse by obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. First of all, what is metabolic syndrome?
Yes.
Some of us are lay people. Metabolic syndrome.
Great question. So I throw out all those terms and I want to talk about them, less to go into the deep dive medical definition of them and more to talk about them as a spectrum. And because also our listeners may be more familiar with one versus another. And if you go to your doctor and they go, you've got metabolic syndrome, like I want you to understand that it is a spectrum with the root cause of obesity. So
that is metabolic syndrome.
So metabolic syndrome is a series of lab results. And again, we couple together this list of diagnoses from elevated triglycerides to an elevated fasting blood sugar to insulin resistance. And when all those things come together, we call it metabolic syndrome. And
okay.
So, but it all starts with just, we've got too much weight. And when we have too much weight due to excess calories, our body is then going to release more insulin. So insulin's a hormone that says, hey, there's all this extra calories floating around. We got to put it somewhere. So insulin is the storage hormone.
Okay.
And when you eat too much and you don't burn enough calories, these insulin levels keep getting higher and higher and higher. And the body is kind of like a marriage. When you get nagged enough, you just simply stop listening. And so the cells in our body, when they see very high levels of insulin, they finally go, I'm not going to listen to you. And that's when the blood sugars start rising and someone develops type 2 diabetes. It is called insulin resistant diabetes because the body's no longer responding to the insulin. We can't stuff any more sugar into our cells. And so why does all this matter? What does it relate to urology? Well, if you recall from our first episode where I talked about and set the stage for urology equating with wellness, again, let's go through some common urologic conditions. So diabetes, high blood sugars, you get more infections. So one of the first things we do for our patients with recurrent bladder infections is we make sure they don't have diabetes. We make sure that they're lowering their blood sugars.
So bladder infections have a correlation to diabetes and obesity?
100%.
Really?
You can also then look at urinary symptoms. So when you have excess sugar in the body, and we've already said that we can't stuff the sugar in any more storage facilities. Our liver is stuffed with sugar, and it's now a fatty liver. Our muscles and our actual fat cells are overflowing. So we actually, when you have poorly controlled diabetes, you actually start spilling sugar into your urine. So the kidneys get rid of excess toxins and different molecules, and one of those can be sugar. When sugar gets into the bladder, it irritates it. So we see a lot of people come in who think they have prostate problems, or women who come in and think they have an overactive bladder. And actually, what they have is uncontrolled diabetes. And that I spend time with these patients, educating them, working on their type 2 diabetes, and then all their bladder symptoms go away. So they didn't even need a urologist. They actually just needed better control of their blood sugar.
Well, that's fairly incredible. Are there other urologic conditions that obesity and diabetes and this metabolic syndrome play into?
Yeah, probably the biggest one is going to be erectile dysfunction.
Oh, wow. I bet a lot of people want to know about that.
Yeah, and that's why the episode's titled, Keeping Your Junk Healthy, because all of these things lead to atherosclerosis, or narrowing and hardening of the arteries. And if we think about it, the arteries that go to a man's penis to get it erect so he can perform, they're about 1 millimeter in their diameter, so pretty small.
Okay.
And when those things, those are probably the first arteries in the body that get clogged that we can measure function to. So a man's going to first go and go, it's not performing quite as well. I need some Viagra. Well, that should be a huge warning sign that 5-10 years down the road, the next arteries to get clogged are what's called your coronary arteries. And when they get clogged, you have a heart attack, or you can die. So I want people leaving this episode understanding that as a urologist, we're seeing the canaries in the coal mine. We are sometimes the first people that these men, because again, us men don't like going to doctors. We're sometimes the first doctors that these men are seeing, that we have an opportunity to really make an impact and go, wait, hold on. Yes, we can get you some Viagra, but time out. This is a big, big issue. Has anyone ever talked to you about this? And so that's really a goal of why I'm talking about wellness as a urologist is I feel like we have this opportunity because we see that all of these diseases are just skyrocketing, and it's through a man's pants we're going to get his attention.
Wow. I think that's no truer words have ever been said than through a man's pants will get his attention. Somebody write this down, meme it out there. So, but urological conditions have an awful lot to do with your general state of wellness.
100%.
That's the takeaway.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on. I want to talk about the next things. You've given us 4 pillars of health care and wellness. Mm-hmm. You've said 8 hours of sleep. I think we've heard this before. This is hard. This is hard getting 8 hours of sleep.
It is. And certainly, each of these 4 pillars we could talk about for several hours.
Sure.
So let's try and kind of give a Cliff Notes version for folks who are busy. Sleep. Sleep sets you up for success in the rest of your day of wellness. So if you don't sleep well, you're going to wake up with less energy. When we have less energy and we're tired, we make poor food choices. So now we're going to stuff our faces with biscuits in the morning, or we're going to skip breakfast and live on caffeine. And then we're going to binge over lunch and dinner because we're starving. Okay. You're then going to be tired. What's the likelihood you're going to the gym? You're not going to go move your body. You're tired. You're going to take a nap as soon as you get home. So you got to set yourself up for success with sleep.
Next, sleep, daily exercise. Also, for a lot of people, it's hard to get this in the day. Yeah, so much happening. I mean, how do you get this in?
Yeah,
every day.
I think there's a lot to unpack here, and I think there's a couple points that I want to make in terms of exercise. So first, I said daily exercise, and some of you may be like, "That's crazy," and some of people who are fitness experts go, "You don't need to work out 3 days a week or more than 3 days a week." Listen, we are, as humans, hunter-gatherers. We evolved from a species that spent the entire day moving our body. We are not meant to sit in these chairs all day. So I'm a big believer of you have to move. Now, does that mean you need every single day of intense weightlifting and exercise? No, you can absolutely overdo it, but we should be moving our bodies every day. I think the second point I want to get across is frankly some tough love. Listen, we all have 24 hours in the day. And certainly, I know there's some of us out there who have really challenging situations, from socioeconomics to your job conditions to commutes. By all means, it's not everyone's got several hours to go hang out at the YMCA and work out. But what's keeping you from doing 100 push-ups, even on your knees during a lunch break?
Taking the stairs once in a while, walking to the end of the block and coming back.
100%.
Move your body.
I like to call these exercise snacks. And so there are ways to do it. But again, if you don't prioritize movement, then you're not prioritizing your health, and no one else is. And so you've got to change your paradigm there.
Okay, next, healthy food choices. Also a struggle for a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah, same here. And listen, we're not set up for success in our society. I mean, every food ad is fast food. It's unhealthy food. Geez, even in hospitals, we don't put good food in front of people. It's amazing.
Hospital food is the worst.
Oh,
it's awful.
Forget about the taste. I mean, it's not healthy.
No.
I mean, so we just don't prioritize this, but we'll do a later episode in it, but because I could talk about diet for hours and hours, but the key is if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage results with your health. And so we've got to change that.
Fair enough. All right. What about stress reduction?
Yeah, there's a stress hormone in our body called cortisol. And this is a very underappreciated hormone. But when your cortisol levels are chronically elevated because you're worrying about that project at work, you're stressed about getting your kids off to their practice after school, you're having a toxic work environment, or maybe even a toxic home environment. High cortisol levels are bad. It causes dysfunction of your thyroid gland, of your sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen. They call it the mother hormone for a reason, because when that doesn't work, the whole other balance of our endocrine system and our hormonal system is out of balance. And so, when they say stress kills, there's some truth in that statement, because as it rises, what does cortisol do? It raises your blood pressure and it raises your blood sugar. Hypertension, diabetes, two of the top reasons we get heart disease. So there's something to be said. There's real science here, people, as to why stress kills.
And finding ways to reduce and mitigate your stress levels is absolutely key to your overall health.
Yes. And listen, again, I don't want to gloss over. There are some people here listening who are in really challenging situations.
Absolutely.
And my heart goes out to you. And as an entrepreneur, father, I've got my daily stresses that I struggle with myself. I just want to bring up the awareness of it, and that we don't talk about it enough. And I think us physicians, we don't help our patients enough or appreciate that if we don't fix stress amongst the other four pillars, really nothing else matters.
It's really good to know. And I don't think we talk about that enough.
No.
Okay, let's move along to the third item we wanted to discuss. And this is a kicker. You have said weight loss is simple, right? But difficult. I think it's difficult.
It is, but we have to really.
How is it simple?
Well, it's a simple equation. Calories in must be lower than calories out.
So we have to do math.
But that's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. And we're going to do another episode down the road talking about all the different, diets. I hate that word. I think it should be food choices, nutrition, our lifestyle, anything else. But diets don't work. But when it comes down to it, it's that simple equation. And so you can make whatever excuses you want. You can try and justify. But the bottom line is, if the calories in are more than calories out, you are not going to lose weight. But yet it is so challenging because of all these other factors, because our society is not set up for healthy eating. Just all the environments are set up for eating on the go, eating unhealthy. And healthy food can be expensive.
It can be really expensive.
There's a lot of barriers here. And so I just want people to realize that we don't have to overcomplicate things, and that ultimately it is difficult, but one way to make it easier is by finding a partner. And so that's why with our practice, we offer a weight loss program. I believe in enough of these things that we say, we're tired of just sitting on the sidelines. We're going to help our patients. We're going to strategically use medications, but we're also going to talk about these 4 pillars. We want to make a difference. And sometimes a partner is just a supportive spouse, and partner. Because if you're trying to do something and you walk into your house and the pantry's loaded with cookies and potato chips and several gallons of ice cream in the freezer.
I think that was to me. Yikes.
It could be a little bit harder. Luckily, ice cream is not one of my my weak points.
It is mine.
We're actually pretty lucky. Our weakness is, because we have them, right? I mean,
of course, everybody does.
Listen, people may be like, oh, what are you two a-holes talking about? You guys look fine, but it's a
struggle.
It is. It's
a
struggle for
constant
everybody.
daily struggle. So I know we're going to talk about this more later, but I'm curious, if you gave everybody listening one thing to change, we'll talk more about diet and more about not diet, healthy food choices in a future episode. But if you could give one actionable change that would be realistic for most people to make, what would you say?
So I believe personally, and there's a lot we can do. I mean, I can justify a lot of different pieces of advice. So what's one? So I'm going to go real tactical. I'm going to go really sort of deep down. If I could just give people one thing to work on, to me, it's don't drink your calories in the form of sugar.
Ooh, okay.
That's the one thing I think can make the most impact. And again, we want simple.
Simple.
I can go here and we'll do some episodes on this. We're going to talk about intermittent fasting. We're going to talk about getting into good sleep habits in more detail. I could argue that exercise or movement might be the most important catalyst, because when you move your body, you want to make better health choices in terms of your sleep. You're going to sleep better. You're going to make better food choices. Your stress goes down. But I think from a tactical level, it's don't drink sugar. From a strategy, just start moving your body.
So don't drink sugar. Bring that even into some more focus. That's soda. That's, even Gatorade that has sugar. That's iced tea that's sweetened. Yikes. I love that.
Here's the
juice.
Here's the biggest one.
Tell me.
It's those milkshakes people call coffee from Starbucks.
Oh, yeah. I think we all have to be honest about that. Starbucks, the mocha, frappa, kappa, latte, chino is a milkshake.
It is. It's pure
They're
sugar.
delicious. But if we're drinking one of these every day, this is a problem.
Treat it like what it is. It's a treat. It's not your daily morning breakfast choice. And again, all the Starbucks lovers out there, I love myself some Starbucks.
Me too.
And these drinks are delicious, but we're talking about, what are some good habits? And so all this starts with habits, and you got to start somewhere. So obviously there's a lot here that we dove into. I'm excited to talk about it in future episodes.
We'll keep talking about it, but I think this is interesting. I wanted to throw this out, a stat of the week that you gave me earlier. Currently, 42% of Americans are obese, and that is a 25% increase since 2008. That's an overwhelming statistic.
It's frightening.
It's
it
very
really
frightening.
is. And again, we are not talking about shaming. We are not talking about beauty. We've got to separate and understand obesity is a health crisis. And it is obesity that has overtaken cigarette smoking as the number one cause of almost every killer in the world. Heart disease, obesity, cancer, obesity, dementia, obesity. All of these things play a role. And so we have to talk about it more, and we have to find ways of changing the narrative. We have to come up with actionable ways. We need a united healthcare system that focuses on healthcare, not sick care, because the rates are just rising at an alarming rate. And it's scary as a physician because if you don't double down on your wellness, there's no amount of medicine we can give you that's going to get you healthy or going to help you at some point. And so we just want to build awareness here that we understand it's a struggle. We understand that people have different challenges, but obesity is something we have to start talking about in a loving way and practical ways of helping all of us. Because if not, we're going to bankrupt our system.
Well, and bankrupt our bodies.
Absolutely.
And I think, it's a struggle for everybody, but talking about it is key.
Definitely.
And I think I have to throw away that ice cream.
Oh, you can have a little treat on. You have a little
Every
treat on
once
there.
in a while.
Absolutely.
Every once in a while.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I learned a lot today.
Well, thanks, Kat. And on that note, listen, until next time, show yourself some love and grace, especially when it comes to wellness. Again, this stuff is simple, but it is difficult. And so use those setbacks as opportunities to grow stronger. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Balls Deep. If you'd like to join our stream team of listeners, please click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. For more information about our practice, Pazona MD, please visit pazonamd.com. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. The show does not constitute the practice of medicine. No doctor-patient relationship is formed through this podcast or any of the social media channels related to this show. The use of this information is at the user's own risk. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.